is my computer. I do everything on it from gaming to video editing. We built it when I first got here as a budget build, something that would work for me without breaking the bank. With all the editing I've been doing lately, I've really been thinking it's time for an upgrade. So I got a new processor for my computer. But wait a second, this processor doesn't work with my motherboard. So I had to get this too. Now I have a new motherboard and processor, but that only helps somewhat because I'm still rocking kind of an old video card. So obviously I also had to get this. I could just do these upgrades to my computer, or I could just build a whole new computer, which is what we're going to do today. So let's build a computer.
The first step is to prep the motherboard. I went with the ASUS ROG Strix X670E-A. I went with this for a few reasons. One, it fits in with the white build. Also, it allows me to get the AM5 processor as well as use DDR5 RAM, all of which would be upgrades for my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and prep to put my hard drives in, which I'm reusing the M.2s I had in my last computer. And that saves me not only money for my new computer, but also the time of reinstalling Windows and reinstalling all of the software that I use on a day-to-day basis. At some point, I do want to add on one more M.2, probably a 4 terabyte, since my motherboard does have room for one more, and that will help with storage and being able to save all of the videos that we make for YouTube right onto my computer instead of on the NAS. I did go ahead and get a CPU contact frame for my system, which helps ensure the best contact from the CPU to the cooler and the motherboard. For my processor, I went with the AMD Ryzen 9 7900X. This is an AM5 processor and definitely an upgrade from the last one that I had. It should allow me to play just about any game and run just about any software that I need. Of course, this is the most stressful part of any build, but I have to say for my first time, I think I nailed it. I know that Intel fanboys might give me a little bit of crap for this one, but considering I got a free copy of Starfield, the premium edition, for the low price of, never mind. For RAM, I went with the Corsair Vengeance, and I only got 64 gigabytes for now because I'm hoping to upgrade to the Dominator Titanium once it finally releases. Corsair, I'm looking at you. It is definitely premium RAM with a premium price tag, but it looks and seems like it's going to be really high quality RAM. Probably one of the biggest reasons I went ahead and bought this computer at the time that I did was because the Fantex NV7 case. This case has gone in and out of stock since it's come out, and I fell in love with it. I had to have it, and when I just happened to go onto the PC parts builder, it was available and I couldn't help myself. I have been wanting this case now for a while, and I am so happy to have it. It has plenty of room. I can't even imagine how you could fill this case up, but it has amazing airflow. It's a beautiful design, and they make it super easy to get everything that you want into the case. A piece of advice if you do decide to go ahead with the NV7 case like I did is definitely make sure you plan out how you want your fans to go inside of the case. We kind of did it as we went, but it would have been a lot easier if we had known exactly where everything was going to go and which directions the fans were going to go and all that. So just make sure you plan ahead and think about things so that your cable management will be easier to do in the long run, and you won't have to try to figure everything out after it's already in the case. Another feature I really love about the NV7 is the fact that you can completely hide your power supply and most of your cables in the back of the case. So the white portion above my motherboard is actually where the power supply goes. I don't have footage of it because we just reused the power supply from my last computer, again, for saving money and just to be able to upgrade the computer and spend the money where it should actually go. There are a ton of cool options out there now for cooling and fans, but I really wanted to try out these Fantex D30s because of the way that they hook together and you don't have to have cables or cords going between the different fans. So they were a little bit of a learning curve at first just to figure out how they worked, but after we got it, it was really pretty easy. There are snap-on connectors that go between each of the fans, as well as connectors for the opposite side just to hold the fans together. So this means that you can hook as many in a row as you need to, and it will work out because they give you enough parts. And they also give you these little covers to put over top of your screws to make it look even better in your case. So I'm highly impressed with these fans, and we used them for the bottom of the case, the side of the case, as well as on the cooler for the CPU. We're both hoping that within the next year or so, we can add custom water cooling to both of our builds. But at least at this point, after running the computer for a good bit of time, I haven't had any issues with my temperatures. So we will just save that for when we have the money to do so. But I definitely think that would be a good improvement that I could do with this computer. I just need that $2,000. Now it's time to just reassemble everything into the case. This is where I talked about it would be good to do some pre-planning so you know exactly where everything's going to end up, like your cords and things like that. But the removable fan brackets in this case, honestly, just make it so freaking easy. I really love that about the NV7. And I just really like how everything came together at the end. So I'm happy with it. We tried to use the cable pass-throughs and other features of the NV7 as much as we could to keep the computer build looking as clean as possible. There really are a lot of options as far as where you can get your cables through from the motherboard to the back to get to the power supply. So I'm very happy with that. And now it's time to get the cooler in. We did end up mounting it at the top of the case, which is really the best thing that you can do with an AIO to prevent any kind of bubbles forming and messing up the pump. Before I can mount the CPU cooler onto the processor, of course, it is thermal paste time. And Alex really likes this thermal paste because he says it's really good. I just like it because it's pink. And in case you're wondering, I did take the factory thermal paste off of the CPU cooler. I'm sure it's great and all, but we used the really fancy stuff that we got at the Micro Center. Apparently, Alex says the fancy stuff is called Cryonaut Extreme. I had a few options for white CPU coolers that I could go with in this build, but I ended up going with the Corsair H150i RGB Elite Liquid CPU cooler. I think that for the price, it's probably one of the best you can get. I think one of the biggest upgrades with this whole computer build for me is the upgrade to a new graphics card. I went with the Gigabyte Aero overclocked GeForce RTX 4080, and I am just so excited about this card. This lets me play pretty much any game at full settings, full ultra settings, and I haven't had really any issues at all with using it. It also makes editing so much smoother in Premiere Pro. I'll put some benchmark results at the end of the video if you're interested in stuff like that. but I am super happy with it. We did go ahead and use the anti-sag bracket, which is also white, so it blends in really smoothly with everything else. I don't even notice it's there, but I do think that I will end up switching to the vertical mount for it. I just think it'll make my computer look that much better just to do a simple thing like that. I mentioned before about how I reused my old power supply to save some money, and I wasn't going to worry about the cables, but Alex did end up surprising me with the premium cable kit from Corsair, which are individually sleeved white, and it just fits in so much better with the whole white aesthetic of the build, and I am very, very happy that we did that. And I'm just wrapping up all the cables here so that we can get ready to do a first turn on of the computer, and we hope and we pray and it works. And I am so proud of myself, so pleased with myself. My very first computer, I had to give it a little hug there, but I was happy to be done with it and ready to get it all reassembled so I could turn it on for the first time. The back of the NV7 case is set for you to be able to do all of the cable management down under the door in the back. Unfortunately, most of my cables are not long enough for that. So if you want to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned, I have plans to do like a full-on cable management where I'm going to buy the length of cords and cables that I need to be able to fully cable manage with the back of the door on and everything looking really beautiful. But first, I'm going to have to somehow figure out how I can financially recover from this. Oh, and without sounding like a Fantex salesperson, they give you a Fantex cleaning cloth with your case to be able to clean the glass on the sides. It's so cool. Let's talk about the benchmarks for this computer. And real quick for comparison, I ran the 3D Mark Time Spy for my old computer before I built the new one. I got a 10,859 with my old computer as the overall score, and that was running a 3060 Ti. The graphics score was 11,000-ish, and the CPU was almost 9,000. With the new computer, the overall score on Time Spy is now 25,345 for the overall. The graphics score is almost 29,000 and the CPU score is almost 15,000. I'm getting over 200 frames per second in games, and this basically is the results from the Time Spy benchmark. And then just for good measure, I ran the benchmark in Cyberpunk 2077, where I averaged an FPS of 138.77 with a maximum of 206 frames per second. So not too shabby. As always, please, if you don't mind, like, share, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things. It helps out the channel and maybe will get us to the point where this will help me pay for this lovely, beautiful computer that I was able to build today. So let me know what you think down in the comments, and love you, bye.